It's Thursday, September the 26th. I'm doing my fishing report this morning from Lac de Flambeau up in Wisconsin. About all I can tell you about Table Rock is the lake level's 913 3/4, surface temperature's around 70 degrees. But a lot of the guys I talked to say fishing's pretty tough, typical late September, early October. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about the fishing I've been doing up here. We've been up here for 3.5 weeks up in northern Wisconsin and Minnesota, fishing a lot of little lakes, like 1,000 to 5,000 acre lakes, and the fishing is absolutely phenomenal up here. A lot of days we're catching 30 to 60 smallmouth a day, and there's so many different ways to catch not only the smallmouth, but if you get bored drop shotting or looking at your live scope, you can pick up your braided line and go to frogging. But I went out this morning for a few hours before we get ready to load up, and brought a couple fish in to show you some of the quality of the smallmouth. They are just unfreaking believable how big they are and mean. Now a lot of the fish we look at that. I don't know what that weighs, but that's a toad. And I caught that on a little Ned rig with a Missiles 4-inch mini worm, a 1/4 ounce 5-fish lures Ned rig head. A lot of them, the smallmouth, I've been catching on finesse baits. A lot of drop shot, Ned rigs, Texas rig worm, and a lot of them seem to be out on points and humps. And every lake's a little different. Some got a lot of sand, some got a lot of rock, and it seems like it would take me a couple days to get each little lake figured out as to what the fish were on. Some lakes, the smallmouth would be 5 to 10 feet, and on this lake here, Lac de Flambeau Lake, I've caught them as deep as 40 foot. That one there I caught this morning, he was suspended about 8 feet deep, over 20 foot of water. But like I say, my wife doesn't like to live scope fish. She thinks it ain't fishing. It's like playing a video game. So anyways, when we get bored with that, her favorite bait was a chatterbait, and we'd get up on the grass lines, and like I said, each lake had different grass. Sometimes it would be eelgrass, cabbage grass, pads, milfoil. But she would take this Bass Pro chatterbait and throw it while I was frogging, and she would catch the heck out of them. And she would catch everything. She'd catch good largemouths, some northerns, and some of the northerns we caught, I don't even know how big they are. All I know is they're long and they wouldn't fit in the net, and they're son of a gun to unhook. But we caught a lot of frogfish as well, on like a hollow-bodied frog, on 50-pound braided line, in the grass, in the pads, and that new Spro flapping frog series. So there's so many different things you can do. So many, if the wind picks up and you can't fish offshore, you go to the bank, go to the non-windy side, find some grass, find some weeds. And the backup of everything has been the docks. See, all these docks come out of the water in the wintertime. So if you find a dock that's got 3 foot of water on the end of it, that's a deep dock up here, and the water is gin clear. So it really works out good. And I've flipped some 3.5, 4-pound smallies off the docks, but the majority of the fish I catch up there are largemouths. And what seems to work best there is a stick worm or some type of Cinco, no weight, just about a 3/0 hook, just skipping underneath the docks. And whether I'm drop shotting or skipping the docks, I pretty much use the same rig. You'll notice I got pink line here. That's the Sun 16.5-pound all might sinking braid, which is phenomenal when you're fishing braid, especially when you get a lot of wind. A lot of times the wind grabs the braid because the line floats. Well, this braid sinks. But anyways, then I'm using a 8 or 10-pound leader, FC Sun Sniper for my leader line with an FG knot, and I'm using that on my drop shot, my Ned rig, my skipping rigs. Now the largemouth, we have caught a couple 5-pound largemouth. Flipping, these guys are mean. But the majority of the fish that I'll catch around the docks are, 1.5 to 2.5 pound fish. But all the fish up here are so dang pretty. And you can catch, I mean, I was only out for a few hours this morning. I caught over 20, you know, skipping the docks on a little fluke. You can get on the outside grass edges, 10 to 12 feet, and throw a little Texas rig worm and catch fish like this till you're blue in the face. Now, you know, it's not every day. It's still typical fishing. Some days they bite a lot better than others, but it seems like once you find them. But them fish on the edge of the grass, pretty much what I've been throwing is just a little Texas rig worm so I can get it through the grass and over it. A little 3/16 ounce weight, and I've got a Missiles 6-inch mini worm on it. Seemed to be the best bait. But you know, like the Berkeley worms, the flat worms, drop shot, and will work great. There's so many different varieties of way to catch fish. The fishing is just absolutely awesome. On a busy day, you'll see 5 boats on the lake, and 4 of them will be fishing for muskie, walleye, and northerns. There's absolutely zero pressure on these bass up here. If y'all get a chance, you need to come to northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, check out a bunch of these little lakes. So next week, I'll be back at Table Rock. I mean, I love Table Rock, but I kind of hate leaving here the way the fish are biting so good. I know it's going to be kind of it's got me spoiled. It's going to be a grind back there, but next week I'll have a more accurate fishing report on Table Rock. Thanks.